The difference between continuing medical education and continuing professional development is quite visible in my region, because in Australia we're very focused on CPD and have been for many years, whereas in Asia Pac they're still very much focused on CME. Only 1 or 2 countries is even using the term professional development. So it's interesting for me because I'm very keen to move Asia Pacific and China more towards the professional development end, so that it's got less to do with only knowledge. With great difficulty, mostly trying to speak to the colleges in Asia because they are the accreditors or the associations. There are no private commercial providers, except that Malaysia is now introducing that process. So it is a matter of talking to the boards and the directors of the associations to try and get them to recognise that just down the road in Australia we have a very sophisticated system which they could learn from to implement this process. One of the problems with Asia is the hierarchical nature of the people. And so the concept of professional development, which is very team-based and communicative-based, that is not necessarily something that functions well in Asia. So it's a very difficult process, and I personally think it will be at least another 5 years before everybody in Asia Pac even has a requirement for either CME or CPD, and at least that long, if not longer, before CPD is the term that we all use. So one of the reasons I'm here is because I came to the first forum last year, and I think because of the nature of what's happening in Europe and obviously the issues that are occurring in America, it's very important for our region, because we are in Australia very focused on UK and Europe, and in Asia very focused on the US. So while the US goes through these problems, it makes it much more difficult for the concept of a provider that's not an association to even be discussed, because they just assume that the problems that have occurred in the US will occur in their own countries. So I'm really here to get a good understanding on how the Europeans are moving forward, and specifically how they manage to do CME or CPD cross borders, because that simply does not happen in Asia Pacific, and I think it's an extraordinary waste of resource. This event particularly is covering a particular part of the world, and we don't have anything like this in Asia Pac, which I think is a mistake. Although some of the universities suggest they put on CME conferences, it's nothing like this. And so I think the importance of keeping something like this going is the opportunity for all of the stakeholders, the associations, the providers, the pharma company, to all interact so that they can learn how to work together efficiently and effectively.